In today's video, Jose Aldo wins pro boxing debut at Shooto Brazil Boxing, Isreal Adesanya's emotional reaction to Volkanovski vs Makhachev, Conor McGregor praises Islam Makhachev and Alex Volkanovski after UFC 284, Yair Rodriguez calls for title unification bout with Volkanovski in Mexico, a big light heavyweight matchup announced for May event, and Adesanya supports Francis Ngannou's decision to leave the UFC. Jose Aldo won his pro boxing debut and is looking for bigger money fights. On Friday, Aldo laced up the boxing gloves for the first time at Shooto Brazil Boxing, which took place at Nova União Upper Arena in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and aired live on the UFC Fight Pass. The 6-round fight would go the distance, with only one judge finding a round to score for Aldo's 33-year-old opponent, Alberto Emanuel Zambrano. Here are the highlights.
Hot shot from Aldo.
Aldo backstage, they say he was ready. He was going to look for a knockout, and there he goes. What a cross. Good punches here late in round 4 from both fighters. Oh, here we go, the final round, round 6 of Jose Aldo and Emanuel Zambrano.
Your winner by unanimous decision, who head to Rio de Janeiro, Jose Aldo Jr.
Isreal Adesanya had trouble containing his emotions after witnessing Alexander Volkanovski's impressive showing against Islam Makhachev at UFC 284.
I appreciate the support, but let's give a round of applause for Islam.
Conor McGregor has taken to Twitter to show his admiration for the athletes competing at UFC 284 and the passionate Australian crowd, praising all of them for their contributions. He also echoed the sentiments of many fans, acknowledging that Volkanovski, despite the setback to Makhachev, had not lost any of his star power. He wrote, "That was a great fight last night, lads. No loser there, just winners. The Aussie and the Aussies showed out, and I loved seeing it. Perth looks tasty too. Now I see why so many Irish are there. I should have went out. Former titles on the line. Congrats all at UFC." Yair Rodriguez won the UFC interim featherweight title on Saturday night, submitting veteran Josh Emmett in the co-main event of UFC 284. During the post-fight press conference, Yair said the dream scenario for him would be to fight UFC featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski in Mexico.
Yeah, that would be perfect. You know, I talked to Alexander Volkanovski in the past in Dallas. No, not that much with him, but with his manager. He asked me, "Will you be able to go to Australia? Will you go to Australia?" I was like, "Yeah, why not? Yeah, of course I'll go." So I stick to my word, and I came here, won the interim title, and now I want to ask the UFC to take this belt, this championship fight, to Mexico City in September, whenever they opening the UFC Performance Institute, so we can do it there. Talking about his fight against me, I think he's quick. I think he's explosive, and he has a pretty good wrestling and jiu-jitsu defense. So I think the fight in between him and I will stay standing up. So it will be more of a striking fight. And everything comes down to who does it better in that day, who does a better strategy, and who's able to maintain the strategy if it's working, you know, and able to adjust if it's not working. And you know, I can see much about anything. You know, it's just matter of who does it better that day.
And here's what Volkanovski said about a future fight with Rodriguez.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But of course, yeah. So it was a good win by Yair. He looked sharp on his feet. Caught him a couple of times, rocked him a couple of times, and caught him with the triangle. So I was training at that stage, but yeah, good on him. Like I said, you know, I'm not a selfish guy. I'm all about building things up. Now we've got a guy, right? There's a guy in 45 that, you know what I mean? There's a guy that deserves that shot and it's clear. And that's what I wanted, but we'll see what's happening.
Alex, going
So
back
congratulations to you.
going back
Yeah, or is it yeah? I always say yeah. Yeah. I thought everyone else was saying it wrong.
Anthony Smith and Johnny Walker are set to square off in a 5-round main event at an upcoming UFC event scheduled for May 13th. Smith returns to action after he was originally expected to meet Jamal Hill in March, but those plans were scrapped after Hill got pulled into a title fight against Glover Teixeira at UFC 283. Smith actually ended up helping Hill prepare for the fight, which he won via a lopsided decision to capture the UFC light heavyweight title. Anthony is 3-1 in his past 4 fights, with his only loss coming to Magomed Ankalaev after he suffered a broken ankle that led to a TKO finish. Meanwhile, Walker attempts to build on a 2-fight win streak after picking up wins over Paul Craig and Iwan Kurbala. What do you guys think of a battle between Anthony Smith and Johnny Walker? Who do you think wins? Let us know in the comments below. Former UFC middleweight champion Isreal Adesanya has weighed in on Francis Ngannou's UFC exit. During a media scrum backstage at UFC 284, Adesanya told media members that he respects Ngannou's decision to look elsewhere and he made the right call.
And we haven't had the chance to speak with you since Francis Ngannou left the UFC. I'm just curious what you think of, his decision to, walk away, and if you spoke with him at all through that process.
Oh yeah, I have, and Francis made the right call. He's the one that kicked in the door. We've all been behind him. We've been saying this for how long? If you guys go back on the tapes, I've been saying the same thing. I'm not gonna hop on about it, but he's right. It's little things, He's asking for things that should be mandatory. He wasn't asking for, crazy, ridiculous, diva-ish demands. It was something as little as like for the guys fighting on the opening, having the 4th or 3rd cornerman being paid for and their hotels being paid for. That sets them up nicely, and they don't have to fork it out of their 10 and 10, or maybe even 10, to pay for their 4th or 3rd cornerman. Little things like that. So he's not being a diva. He's asking for reasonable demands, and I felt like he should have got them. But again, he told me, I said that's not how we do business, but the way we do business has to change, and it will change. He's just the guy to kick in the door.
Izzy also said that he thinks Ngannou will return to the UFC at some point.
I think he'll come back. He's the greatest heavyweight we've ever had. Not even just like in the UFC in history. He left on his own terms with the belt, never lost it. And yeah, he is. So I feel he's gonna do what he has to do in boxing or wherever else, but it's a great hit to the company. I know he'll be back. He'll be back, that's all I'll say.
Here are the top 3 funniest memes we found on the internet today. 3rd place was found over Reddit and was posted by a user named Antamiko. 2nd place was found over Instagram and was posted by a user named As Shopped As It Gets. And our top pick was found over Reddit and was posted by a user named BigLugUI. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel to keep up with the latest MMA news.